100 people surveyed, and I have the top 10 answers of things that scream new writer.
You ready?
Yep.
So these are 10 things you don't want to be doing. This list is in no particular order, except that you shouldn't be doing any of them. And the fact that they're on this list means they haven't just been done once. They've been done a lot. And that's not a good thing, because when readers come across them, well, they don't literally scream, but their reaction does mean your script is screaming, "I'm a new writer, so ignore me." Whether you're a new writer or not, doing them makes others perceive you as an amateur. So if you're doing any of these, stop it. Submitting something other than a PDF of your script. It's hard enough to get people to read your stuff, and when they want to read it, you should be sending a PDF, not a final draft file, which I've seen and heard about multiple times. And even though Final Draft likes to say they're the industry standard, they are not. The industry standard is a PDF. So if someone requests your script, send them a PDF, not a link to a document on a Google Drive, not a link to some downloadable document in the cloud or on Dropbox, not a link of any kind, actually, not a Word document, a PDF. And if it's not a PDF, pretty much any screenwriting software you're using exports to a PDF, so do that. And if you aren't using screenwriting software, why not? There are free options available. Do yourself a favor and let the software help you automatically format your screenplay, which brings us to number 9. Not following standard formatting conventions. There aren't really rules when it comes to formatting, but there are expectations, and expectations are important. It helps show you are a professional, and you can work within the expected conventions. Now, this doesn't mean you can't have anything uniquely formatted in your screenplay. You can definitely do that, but your script should demonstrate your proficiency within the medium of screenwriting. So if you don't know how to format your screenplay, you absolutely have to learn. Because if you want to show that you are an amateur screenwriter, ignore the formatting conventions and your script will be tossed in a hot second. And that would be, well, extra stuff on your title page. Here's what you include on your title page. Title of the screenplay, written by, your name, contact email, that's it. There are pieces you can futz with, and I did a video on title pages, which I'll link at the end of this video if you want to drill down. But if you want the too long didn't read version, those 4 things are all you need. Title, written by, your name, contact email. The mistake new writers make is putting extra stuff on the title page that you don't need. So information like your copyright registration number or date, or too much contact information, or even, and yes, I've seen it, fake representation information. A family's friend's name masquerading as a manager, thinking that'll give clout to the script. It doesn't. It screams noob. Number 7, failing to copyright your script. Just because you don't put the copyright information on the title page doesn't mean you should skip registering your script for copyright. Absolutely register your script for copyright protection before you start sending it out. In fact, many companies will want you to sign a standard release, and on that release form, there is often a question. Have you registered your script for copyright? There may even be follow-up questions about that. And companies that do this are not being shady, they're being professional. They're trying to help you protect yourself. Register your scripts. And while it is very, very rare, in fact, you probably have heard about every instance of someone stealing someone else's script because it is so rare, I'd hate for it to happen to you, because then you'd be... So register your script with the Copyright Office of your country. Residents of many countries can use the US Copyright Office, so if you aren't sure, you'll need to check with your country's Copyright Office or consult a lawyer. Number 6, including scene numbers in your screenplay. Yes, I realize many scripts you'll find online have scene numbers. The problem is those are production scripts, not selling scripts. Scene numbers are used for production. They help all the departments plan for the movie. And once a movie goes into production, the script is then locked and scene numbers are added. And then if new scenes are written after that point, they are labeled with letters. So you have scene 22 and then 22A and 22B. If scenes are removed, you'll see the words omit and lots of blank space. page numbers are also impacted by this. So for anyone in the industry, if they look at a screenplay that has scene numbers already in it, their first thought is, this is a script in production, so it must not be for sale. And if it isn't in production, then this is clearly the work of an amateur. Do not include scene numbers or lock your script in your screenwriting software. Remember, you are writing a script to be read and hopefully sold, not one to be shot. After your script gets bought, you'll make changes to it based on a host of notes, and at some point that script will get locked and scene numbers will be added. But if you've not cashed a check, no scene numbers. Number 5, misspellings and overall poor writing. Professional writers hold words and punctuation in high regard. Amateurs are careless, or worse, don't know any better. So if you're submitting a script to a production company, a contest, a manager, or anyone else, having misspellings is an immediate red flag that you are a new writer. And if you aren't a new writer, you're about to be perceived as one. If you don't care enough to eliminate the spelling and grammar mistakes in your script, especially on the first few pages, why should anyone else care to read what you've written? This means your sentences can't be confusing either. If you're writing the character of Yoda, fine, write like he talks, you can. But if that's anywhere else in your script, or if your writing is just poor, you want to make it easy for the reader to read your script, not hard. So pay attention to the little stuff. Sentence structure, punctuation, and spelling, all of those matter. Number 4, having zero conflict on the first page. I've read so many scripts from new writers and I've lost count of how many times I've given this note. There is no conflict on page 1. Page 1 starts usually with someone waking up, cliche, or someone going about their normal day's business, boring, or with someone experiencing something and everything's just going great for the character. And all of these are... So your first page must have some conflict. Conflict reveals character. And when a character deals with a situation, it helps us to understand the character. It helps the audience to quickly empathize with the character because we see how they're dealing with, or failing to deal with, the conflict. But if you don't have any conflict, we can't learn anything about the character. And in many scripts from new writers, this lack of conflict goes on for several pages. And at page 3 of no conflict, I'm putting the script down. So is any other reader. And it's an indication that the pacing is off, that character development will be lacking, that the premise isn't exciting enough, and the screenwriter is a full-blown amateur. Make sure you have conflict on page 1. It doesn't have to be big, but it does have to be personal for a character or for many of the characters who are involved. Number 3, asking readers to sign an NDA before you send the script. Here's how this goes down. Someone, we'll call them Skippy, sends a query letter, and a company requests the script because it was a successful query. But Skippy, having heard of the 7 times that someone's actually stolen a script, wants to protect his idea. So his email reply to the script request is to attach an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, for the company to sign before Skippy will send them the script. And then Skippy wonders why no one actually reads his script. It's because this is an amateur thing to do. In fact, it's more expensive to steal your script than it would be to just buy it outright. And any legitimate company or manager knows this. Plus, let's think about this for a second. You've spent a lot of time planning your story and writing it and getting it ready to submit. You've researched companies and people to send your script to. You've sent a bunch of query letters, usually only hearing back from 1 to 2 places for every 20 to 30 query letters that you send. And now, having finally threaded the needle, you're going to ask them to sign an NDA? Okay, that's a straight up amateur move. Don't do it. If someone wants to read your script, make sure you've registered it with the copyright office and send them the script, and hopefully you'll also be able to cash a check. Okay, we've got 2 more things that scream new writer, but these next 2 will not only keep your current script from getting read, they may actually sink your writing career before you even get started. So it is critical that you avoid them. But before I hit them, if you're finding value, do me a favor and hit a button or comment below about what's been helpful, or even share this video on the social media platform of your choice. All of those things help others find this channel, and if you're new to this channel and finding value, someone else did those things to cause the algorithm to suggest this video to you, and you can pay it forward by doing the same. And if you've got questions about anything screenwriting related, please drop them in a comment below. And if you want to support me directly, you can do that through Patreon, where I keep all of my archived videos, and there's a few other perks there for you if you're interested. And of course, links below if you want to work directly with me. So be sure to check those out. Okay, the last two things you shouldn't be doing, and again, either one of these can sink your career before you even get started. Number 2, citing a fake recommendation. Now here's how this one normally plays out. Skippy has a script and wants to get it in front of a hotshot agent, but Skippy is new and frankly has no legitimate chance of getting his script read by hotshot agent. But Skippy does some research and discovers that Jake is repped by hotshot agent, so Skippy does the unthinkable and writes this query letter to the agent. Dear hotshot agent, Jacob Michael read my script, The Doppelganger, and loved it. He even suggested I send it to you. It's a dark rom-com about Dave and Dwayne, identical twins, who are unknowingly trying to woo the same woman. Dave's a goody-goody, but Dwayne's a serial killer. And let's just say you'll never look at sushi the same way. If you'd like to read it, let me know. Sincerely, Skippy. All in all, a solid query letter. But guess what's the first thing that hotshot agent is going to do? Yeah, call me and ask, do you know Skippy? Nope. Cool, thanks. They hang up. And then Skippy gets flagged with a do not ever read note within that agency. Not ever. Not ever repped, not ever packaged, not ever anything. Persona non gratis. Why? Because Skippy lied, and he's out forever. If you have a legitimate contact recommendation, absolutely use them with permission. But if you don't, you are jeopardizing your potential career. And the number one thing you can do that screams you are a new or amateur writer, whether you are or not, is assuming that you, the writer, has actual clout. Generally, writers don't have much clout in Hollywood. They have more in TV than in film, but not much, especially if you're new. And it doesn't matter how great of a script you have. The script is more valuable than you are. I'm sorry, that's just the reality. And you've probably heard stories of writers who did things like, okay, I'm only selling you this script if I get to direct it. Or I'm only selling this script if I get to star in it. I mean, those things just don't happen anymore. And the stories like that, which you've heard, are 30 or 40 years ago. Probably the most famous of these stories is Sylvester Stallone and his script of Rocky, which was released in 1976, 46 years ago as I record this. It's not a thing anymore. Now, this doesn't mean that you, the writer, are worthless. It is, in fact, the opposite. You, as an individual, whether you're a writer, an aspiring writer, or just curious about screenwriting, you are priceless. You are unique. And that's because you are you, and there is no one else who has ever been or will ever be like you. So don't attach your self-worth to what you create. What you create is a commodity. And if you choose to pursue screenwriting, you yourself become a kind of commodity, something to be bought and sold and bartered. And when you have no track record, regardless of how good your current script is, if you have no history, you don't have much clout. So many new writers watch their dreams of a Hollywood career disappear literally overnight because they act entitled or like they deserve to be there. I've even had people say to me, you know, Jake, you should read my stuff because you're supposed to help people starting out. That attitude gets you nowhere fast in Hollywood. Leave the entitlement at the door. And sure, if you have a solid enough script, people might tolerate you for a while. But acting like you are the next best thing since sliced bread will not win you any friends or people who will champion you in Hollywood, and you need those people. No one likes working with a difficult person, so don't be a difficult person. And really, with this list of 10 things, the big overarching theme, if you don't want to be mistaken for a new writer, be professional. Screenwriting is a profession, and you have to act like a professional. That means not thinking higher of yourself than you are. That means being honest, having integrity, doing your due diligence, demonstrating your proficiency in the craft, and just being someone people want to work with. Be nice, be kind, Practice doing those things in your everyday life. And when you have the opportunity to interact with industry people, being a professional won't be like putting on a coat for you. It'll just be you being you. So if you take the professional route, there'll be none of this.
Precious!
And as I noted earlier, if you're interested in title page do's and don'ts, you can watch this. Again, if you found value here, please don't forget about all the fun buttons below, and when you decide to tell a story that matters. See you later.